Good morning, Governor. What's happening regarding this meeting between the visiting Buhari and Nigerian countrymen and women who live on our shores?
Well, good morning, Bradan. From outside of the Sheraton Hotel. Inside, we have the presidential delegation about to arrive, and Nigerians in South Africa from the business community, religious community, and community leaders all preparing for this town hall meeting. So the President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, will be speaking to them not only about the spate of xenophobic violence that took place in Johannesburg, but also about how they can implement some of the resolutions from that binational commission and business prospects between South Africa and Nigeria. But more controversially, Dan, you'd notice that we're outside. That's because the Nigerian presidential delegation has banned South African media from attending the town hall. Now, we have confirmed that the Nigerian media who accompanied President Muhammadu Buhari to South Africa have been allowed into the hall. And further than that, the local Nigerian media based in Johannesburg and Pretoria are also allowed to take part. It's only the South African media that's now been barred from attending. And we are expecting an explanation from the Foreign Minister Jeffrey Onyemo, but he is expected to come and address journalists from South African media in a short while. And then, Bradan, there is also another group of Nigerians in South Africa who have gathered just outside of the Sheraton Hotel, hoping to force their way into the building. They say that the meeting between Nigerians in South Africa and the President Muhammadu Buhari was supposed to take place at the Nigerian embassy in Pretoria, but it was shifted to the Sheraton Hotel because of the protests which marred the official visit of the President of Nigeria to the Union buildings yesterday. Remember that the police had to disperse a group of protesters there with tear gas yesterday afternoon, and we can confirm that those same protesters are now about a block and a half away, hoping to protest again here outside of the Sheraton. Of course, there's an increased police presence here, and there seems to be some confusion among the organizers of this town hall meeting and the people who are trying to force their way in.
And by whoever, who communicated to you that South African media are not allowed into the Sheraton to cover this discussion between the visiting head of state and the Nigerian nationals?
Well, it was a member of the Nigerian presidential delegations, essentially the security around him, which came outside, asked the journalists to leave the lobby of the Sheraton Hotel, the South African journalists, as they would not be invited into the hall, but saying that we might get a briefing from the foreign minister of Nigeria explaining exactly why that decision was taken. But for now, most of us are outside, but we do understand that the town hall meeting is about to begin.
And only Nigerian media that is accompanying this visit have been allowed inside the Sheraton,
as well as some of the Nigerian media that are based in Johannesburg. And that is the reason why we've disputed the decision for them to throw us out of the meeting. And we believe that we should be granted access to see the interaction between the President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, and his countrymen here in South Africa. But it's a discussion that's ongoing, Bradan. And as I'm speaking to you, I see that there are more people arriving, negotiating with the police, and possibly trying to make their way into the building. Of course, security here is very tight. There are a lot of unhappy Nigerians living in South Africa who say that they should be allowed to meet with the Nigerian president. Of course, the delegations being brought from the different business organizations in South Africa are also quite large, and a number of them are hoping that the entire delegation would be allowed in. At this point, it looks like the police would only allow in a select few.
Yeah, without knowing the rationale that's in the minds of the Nigerian delegation for preventing South African media from entering the Sheraton to cover this town hall meeting between Buhari and Nigerian nationals, one can only say it's an unfortunate incident. Hopefully the explanation will be justifiable, but I cannot at the moment come up in my mind with any good reason that will make them do so. But we'll have to wait and see if that briefing with the Foreign Minister of Nigeria happens in a short while. Thank you very much. That's ENC's Governor Whittles.